First and foremost, I'm not a PokeTuber. Now, I'm someone who likes Pokemon. I grew up with it. Pokemon Red and Blue were a lot of fun to me. But as the series has gone on and I've gotten older, I've definitely drifted away from the franchise. And I've kind of come to see what it really is. It's essentially the Mickey Mouse of the video game industry. Just slap Pokemon onto something. It doesn't need to be high quality. Kids will gravitate towards it, and kids will buy it, or parents will buy it for the kids. Now, there have been some Pokemon things that I have liked. New Pokemon Snap, for instance. I thought that was really cool because it looked like a modern game at the time it released. Same thing with Pokken Tournament, a nice fighting game with some very fancy visuals. It just seems like the mainline Pokemon games have never really caught up to that. Well, Pokemon Day is, of course, happening next week, and for whatever reason, Nintendo decided to spoil probably one of the larger announcements from this showcase, with the announcement of Pokemon FireRed and LeafGreen coming to the Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2. I actually got a text message around 2 a.m. from Wood about this, and I was like, is this real? Like, I don't know what you're showing me here. And then, sure enough, it popped up in the Nintendo eShop as being available after the Pokemon Presents presentation. And then Nintendo, made a trailer for it to talk about it. So there's a lot of things I want to talk about with this, because it all boils down to something that I said was going to happen. And people said, no, RGT, you're crazy. I said, hey, they're going to charge you for these games. They're not going to put them on Nintendo Switch Online. And people said, no, you're wrong, you're wrong. And then, well, they're charging you for the games. $20 a pop. And there is a lot of things that I want to say about this, both for this sort of thing and against this sort of thing, and maybe we could come to some middle ground conclusion as to the handling of Pokemon FireRed and LeafGreen for the Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2. First time on the channel, hit that subscribe button. But let's just talk about this. So Pokemon FireRed and LeafGreen are, of course, the Game Boy Advance versions of a Pokemon game. Very popular. At this time, when these came out, I was not playing these games. Just not really my cup of tea at that time. I believe this came out in 2004. I was a freshman in college. I wasn't really into Pokemon, so I never got to experience these games, but I could kind of see them for what they are. Traditional Pokemon-like experiences, but for the Game Boy Advance. Now, to be fair, people seem to really have a lot of nostalgia for these games and really love these games, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. But kind of the handling of these versions of the game, the price point, and what is being added, or I guess I should say not added, is where a lot of the controversy starts to take place with this release, because these games are releasing for $20 a piece. $20 a piece for games that are 20 plus years old that don't really have anything new added to them. There is no online trading or online battling or anything like that. Nintendo did confirm that because it has to go through the Pokemon Home app or something like that. So you won't be able to battle with your friends and stuff like that. There's a slight visual increase, much like you would see on Game Boy Advance Online, in order to spruce up the graphics a little bit for playing in docked and in handheld mode. But beyond that, there's nothing going on here. This is probably literally using the emulator that is used for Game Boy Advance for Nintendo Switch Online, because, yes, kiddies, that is an emulator, and it's probably using the same ROM that you would use for any ROM of this game. And that really brings up quite a few questions that people have. Now, from a business perspective, I do kind of understand it, because let's be real. Let's go back to the Mickey Mouse analogy. People are going to buy it. People are already buying this. No question. Oh, $20, sure. Here you go. I love this game. Blah, blah, blah. And I get it. I understand it. I've seen a lot of people saying, oh, well, it's ownership. I own this game now, which is kind of weird to me because it's, we've seen digital games get delisted and stuff like that. We've seen issues with digital games. And I always thought that digital ownership was not true ownership like it was with physical. But now we're giving this a pass because it's something nostalgic for us. And that's really what it boils down to. I'm not saying that that's necessarily a wrong way to think about it. It's just kind of an interesting way to think about it. $20 a piece for 2 games that would easily fit onto Game Boy Advance Online is also very curious to me because, well, aren't you trying to promote the Nintendo Switch Online subscription service? Like, isn't that an important thing to you? And, like, what better way to get people to want to sign up for this than by adding them into Nintendo Switch Online? Now, I have bought lots of retro games and retro compilations on the Switch and the Switch 2 because it's fun to play these games portably. But when you look at those games, there's always, for the most part, at least the stuff that I buy, added reasons to want to buy them. Some quality of life improvements, rewind, save states, this, that, or the other. It seems like none of that is going to be available in this. And the fact that there is no online multiplayer, being able to battle and trade with people and stuff like that, like you would in the same room, Nintendo went out of their way to say, hey, this is exactly how it would be on the Game Boy Advance. So if they're not in the room with you, you can go to hell. It's kind of like, well, why? You can use game chat on the Nintendo Switch 2 to talk to people, but you can't interact with them within the game itself. Like, it's 2026. People play stuff online. The people that grew up playing FireRed and LeafGreen, I don't think that they're still children living in the same town that they lived in with the people that they probably played this game with. If you were 6, 7, 10 years old, oh God, I said 6, 7. I swear to Christ, if anyone in the comments says anything, I will hunt you down and I will find you and I will have a stern talking to your parents about the quality of parenting that they are doing with raising you. I'm dead ass serious. But if you were 10 years old in 2004, you're like 30 years old in 2026, roughly. So it's like you're not living with the same people that you lived with. Like, it's just so weird to me. It's just so weird to me. And I think the proper solution to this that would have made everyone happy is you make it so that you can purchase it physically, or you can purchase it digitally on the eShop, or if you have Nintendo Switch Online, you just have access to it. Like, that's the best of both worlds here. That way, people who want to, quote-unquote, own the digital game have access to that, and they can purchase it. People who have Nintendo Switch Online who just want to dabble around with it or maybe play it for a couple hours could then experience it that way as well via the app that you're charging people money for. Like, I don't understand why this is such a special thing. Like, I get it. It's Pokemon. It's popular. Nostalgia. But that's really the only reason why you're charging people money. Because you're sort of preying on their nostalgia with this. And, to me, it's a little bit of a grimy look. It's a little bit of a grimy look when you're trying to, you went away from the virtual console. People like the virtual console. I like the virtual console. But you went away from that. You went away with a subscription service. But when this big title comes along that people would really want on the subscription service, you're like, not so fast. You can't do that. Like, this is it's a little bit scummy to me. And the funniest thing about all of this is that Japan is actually getting a physical version of this exclusive to Japan. You could get a physical version that looks like the old Game Boy Advance FireRed and LeafGreen boxes. But it's only in Japan because screw everyone else. Like, I hate when Nintendo does shit like that. I absolutely hate it. Where do you sell a vast majority of your consoles? Like, I get it. You're a nationalistic company. Nationalism is something that's frowned upon in this day and age, but Nintendo can get away with it, giving all the benefits of the cheaper Switch 2 SKU to the Japanese audience, giving the physical version of this to the Japanese audience, and saying, F you, America, F you, Europe, y'all suck. Get on our level, ho. Bizarre. But at the end of the day, it's going to sell. And I'm smart enough to realize that they realize we can make a shit ton of money on this. And they're going to. Because people, I don't know, I guess they've never heard of emulators and ROMs and stuff. And I get it. You know, there is the added benefit of being able to play it on one specific console that you have a bunch of stuff on. I totally understand that. But at least with most of the retro stuff that comes out that I rebuy on the consoles, you know, on the Switch too, like I'm playing through the Metal Gear Solid collection again. I just finished Metal Gear Solid 1 last night. What a freaking game, dude. And now I'm starting up Metal Gear Solid 2 again. Like, there's added quality of life benefits that make it worth the money. I don't think you could quite say that about Pokemon FireRed and LeafGreen. But let me know in the comments section down below. I'm sure the PokeTubers will be out in full force. But to that I say, you're paying $70 for Pokopia, a game key card. I really think you should sit this one out, pal. Was that too mean? That might have been too mean. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. Be sure to check out the video from earlier today where we talked about Mario Tennis Fever not exactly lighting the Japanese audience on fire. But hey, you know, give them the FireRed. They've earned it. Thanks, Nintendo. Thanks. And as always, if you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like, comment, and share. Hit the bell as well. And I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.